Hey everybody, my next guest is a natural born performer who does it all. He sings, he dances, he acts, he performs stand-up comedy all over Long Island. And here he is with us right now, the one
All
and
right,
only Les Degen.
thank you, Don Silva, for that terrific introduction. It is terrific to be here with you today.
Yes, it's awesome to have you on the show, Les, because I've known of you and I've seen you out and about, and all these other podcasts throughout the years. But we only just met personally a couple of months ago at the big calendar unveil. Me and you are both calendar men now. We're both going
That's
to be.
right. We both will go through the annals of time known as calendar guys. I was Mr. May and you were December, I guess.
Yeah, I'm December. You got to wait all year long to see me again. I'm December of 2024. And by the time this will run like the first week of January. So happy New Year, everybody.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone.
And we're
It's
both
really
in,
December 21st, but shh.
and we're both part of this calendar, both part of 2024 forever. Me and you, and 10 other gentlemen,
Yeah,
will forever be a part of this 2024 calendar. So that's a fun thing.
that was very exciting, and yeah, I'm glad I met Jen. She's a really cool person, and we met, I guess, I think like about a year ago doing a show at Governors together, and then we kind of clicked and stayed Facebook friends, and then fast forward a year, and would you like to be Mr. May? I was like, sure, sure.
Yeah, Jen's cool, and she put this whole this thing together for the calendar. And if people want the calendar, it's still available now. And just hit us up, in our DMs or whatever, and we'll give you the information on how to get your own calendar. But yeah, it's pretty cool to be part of that, and to be for me, not really being a stand-up comedy, but kind of entrenched into the comedy world here of the
Right.
Long Island scene. It was an honor to be part of it and to be amongst all of you guys, and that show was great to watch all of you perform in that intimate setting there. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, you judges like actually help make the show even more fun with all your comments and everybody. I think did like everybody get a 10?
Everybody got tens. And for some reason, Fat Jay thought I gave him a seven. He's like, "You gave me a seven." I was like, "I didn't get. I gave you a 10. We
Yeah.
gave everybody tens." But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was me, Tony Walker, and Jerry Petroni were kind of like the judges, kind of a tongue in cheek judging of the event. Um, and yeah, it was a lot of fun just kind of being a part of that. Hopefully, we do more stuff like that. That was good
Yeah,
times.
yeah, definitely.
Now, I when I think of you, from the little that I know, you come across to me like a true entertainer, like that. It's in your DNA. You sing, you dance, you do all these things. I could just imagine that you were probably doing this since you were a young Les Degen, like a little boy.
You are correct. I've always been an entertainer, like since the fetus. It's funny, the umbilical cord was my best audience. I used to break it up all the time, and the placenta was one of my biggest fans. It was terrific, and no, yeah, no, I've always been an entertainer. I guess it started out in schools, summer camp. Um, even in kindergarten, I was making kids laugh. I remember in junior high school, I sang a book report. It was Jack London's Call of the Wild,
Oh
and
yeah.
everybody had to get up in front of the class and do an oral book report. And I actually wrote a poem and a song to capture everything. So, but I actually didn't start to do entertainment like publicly and on a very organized level until actually later in my life. Well, I guess I'm into it. Is the Les Degen story? I guess that's why I'm here, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's fast forward to 1979 and 1980.
Great
I was a
years.
young kid in my 20s and finally had the balls to get up and do stand-up comedy. So I dabbled. I lived in Sunnyside, Queens, and I did the open mics at Pips in Brooklyn, the
Wow.
comic strip in the city,
Yeah.
a dive bar in the city called Good Times, where an unknown named Bobby Collins was the host.
Very cool.
Um,
Yeah.
and I didn't do badly, but I was pretty immature, and wanted to party too much, and comedy is it's really hard, not just the creative but the motivation to go out there and fail and succeed and intermingle in relationships, and I was just very immature. So it on and off I did it. It didn't last more than a couple of years, so I stopped doing it. But I never, I never, the urine to get up there and do it never left. So even though in school, summer camp, at work, with companies I worked for, I would be the entertainer, but it would be just limited to that. So
And I'll
it
tell
wasn't
you something.
happening.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was just going to talk about coming up in the 70s, in 1979, 1980. That's kind of like the peak of stand up, because the 80s boom was just kind of starting out. So, and you started to ride the wave, because like I think the Comedy Store and all that clubs were just starting to really pop up and stuff like the legendary Pips in Brooklyn.
Oh, exactly. As a matter of fact, the like when I was doing the open mics, there's a top 100 comic named Dom Irera.
Wow,
He
yeah.
had just moved to New York from Philadelphia
Wow.
as an improv actor, and we used to wait online together at Friday at noon at the comic strip to pick a number out of a cup to see if we could get on stage on Monday at the comic strip. And so he was one of the open micers. The first host that ever brought me up was a guy by the name of Larry Miller.
Larry Miller,
He's
Long Island comic legend.
right, exactly, an actor. He's like a character actor in all these movies.
Yeah, he's been in a
Let's
lot of
see.
great,
Peter Bales
the
was
great Peter
actually
Bales.
one of the regulars on the circuit. He brought me up as an MC on some of those Monday nights. And the first time I ever bombed, my fourth set in, I had been picking numbers and I got a number and I was, doing pretty good. I mean, nothing. I mean, the material I did was like I don't know, like why I did what I did it, but
Right.
first time I bombed was on a Monday night, and I drew a spot. They would have it would be the host. He'd bring up one or two of the regulars, and then he'd have number one, two open micer, then a regular, then three, four open micer. So my spot, I got to follow a guy named Jerry Seinfeld,
Wow.
and I was so intimidated. I mean, he wasn't famous then, but he was a regular at the club, and I was just so intimidated watching him work that I started changing things that I was doing. Let alone the fact that like 10 of the people in the audience were foreigners that couldn't speak English. So that really didn't help me much.
Wow. So you were in the comic strip in the heyday of like Seinfeld and who else started what's his
Paul
name?
Reiser,
Paul Reiser. That's who I was just thinking
a
of. Paul
guy named
Reiser.
Dennis Wolfberg, Jim Brogan.
Wow.
Um,
So these
yeah,
are your
there's a
peers at this
there's a
point.
lot. A good friend of mine, Bill McCarty. I don't know if you know the name.
I know
He
the name.
he was there. What's her name? Carol. She was a writer on Signs. I
Leifer.
can't think of her name
Carol
now.
Leifer.
Carol Leifer. Yes, you're
Yeah.
right. I remember one night, after I went on, I stayed and I was Paul Reiser's only audience
Wow.
because they would keep the show going until there was no more audience left. So the audience was me and the woman cleaning up all the spilled drinks while he was up there doing his act. And
Wow.
so it was an interesting time. And then so I put that off to the side. And then, met my wife, got married, had kids. I'm a salesman. I just retired, but I was an outside sales for
Oh,
41 years.
congratulations on the retirement.
I remember when I was 39, I decided to take guitar lessons. And there's a jazz guitarist named Mike Marino who lives on Long Island, lives in Seaford. So I started taking lessons with him. I thought, well, let me play the guitar. Maybe I can sing and play the guitar. So my family's Jewish, and we were members of the Wantor Jewish Center. But then we morphed to the Suburban Temple of Wantor. We live in Seaford,
Right.
and lo and behold, when we joined, the Suburban Temple sponsored a community theater group called the Suburban Players, which was, made of temple members, but people from outside of the community,
Right.
Long Island Community Theater, would know of this group. So it's not just the Temple. You know?
Right. So it's it's a little broader.
In 1997, they did the show Oliver. Now, I
Nice.
had seen Ron Moody and Oliver in the movie. I went to see a community theater show, and I was like, wow, I think I could do this. So what happens? I go to the audition, and like no one knew who I was, and there was all these people in community theater, like all knew each other and everything. And I just came on as a Temple member, and I got the lead in this production. 5 songs, a lot of dancing, a lot of heavy dramatic lines. First time working with like a full band, and it was just like, wow, of all the fantasizing I've done in my life, I can do this.
Right.
So it was that's what really got me going. The following year, I had my dream come true. I was Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big part.
And then I got to be Applegate and Damn Yankees. I joined a theater group called the Minstrel Players, who did like mainly comedies, dramas, straight plays. Fellow by the name of Ray Palin ran the group. I was Max Levine in Heaven Can Wait.
Oh wow, yeah.
We all know the movie version with Warren Beatty as the football player. The original was a boxer.
Oh, okay.
So I played the boxing manager. I was Velasco in Barefoot in the Park. So anyway, so I got to be, I got into acting and legitimate singing.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. So, and then what happened was in 2003, still doing that. In 2003, for my in-laws' 50th wedding anniversary, they took the whole family on a Royal Caribbean cruise, the Navigator of the Seas, and on the ship, the comedian entertainer was a fellow who passed away recently, Sal Richards.
Take Cialis, gentlemen. But before you do that, to enhance your sex feeling in life, the side effects may kill you. So decide if you want to get laid or not.
Oh yeah, I know Sal.
Long Island guy. He was like, old Catskill Mountain guy.
Yeah.
He was like, like a legendary guy. And he got up there. His stand-up routine was terrific. He got up there and sang with a full orchestra. When you're on a ship, you get to meet the entertainers. So we kind of connected. And it was like, at that point in time, of all the procrastinating, I'm going to do an open mic next week. Remember, this is from 1980 up until now. In my mind, I still want to do it. I'm writing jokes, but maybe I'll do it next. I'm busy at work. No, I'm with the kids. There's always an excuse.
Right. Yeah. Life gets in the way.
Get up there.
Yeah.
So on Columbus Day 2003, I worked for the messenger service on 27th Street, which was 3 blocks from the New York Comedy Club on 24th Street.
Nice.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this open mic finally. And I did it, and I've never looked back.
Wow.
I'll tell you, pacemaker is great. It's a battery that's planted inside my chest, and it's got 2 wires to go down into my heart. And as soon as the pacemaker sees that the heart rate goes below 60, it kicks in, my heart rate goes back up, and I get an erection. And what's really cool, if I shove a cable up my ass, I can charge my cell phone. I tell you, the battery on this thing is powerful. This morning, I helped my next door neighbor start his car by connecting his jumper cables to my nipples. Babe, try to start it.
And that was 2003, so that's already over 20 years since your return.
Since my return, yeah. And I tell you, I've met just so many wonderful, supportive people. Too many to name, between comedy club owners and producers, and it's just been a wonderful. I got to meet you.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
It's just been wonderful. So while I'm doing that, I'm still doing shows, and then this is like a big thing. 2 of my theater friends, Mike and Sarah, in 2000. When did we start doing this? It was right after Anything Goes. We did a production of Anything. I played Sir Evelyn Oakley, the British guy, No, you're familiar with the show? The
Yeah,
Cole Porter?
anything goes. I remember the
Right.
song, and yeah,
My
I remember the
my big
movie.
thing was "Let's Misbehave."
Yeah,
My
yeah,
big
great
thing.
song. Yeah.
So my friend Mike and Sarah, the three of us started a cabaret act called Two Guys and a Gal.
Ah,
So
cool.
and we did all the libraries and the senior facilities, and we did this for 10 years. So the three of it mainly standards and show tunes,
Right.
and then I guess about wow, it's maybe 8 years ago already. Sarah decided she didn't want to do it anymore. We're still all friends, and she's terrific, but the group kind of disbanded, and I only would do 3 or 4 songs during the hour, but frankly, I'd like to do them all.
Right.
So I started morphing into my own thing. So that's where like this afternoon evening with the singer entertainer Les Degen got started. So now 3 or 4 days a week I'm performing at assisted living facilities, nursing homes. I just did a Temple Hanukkah party. I just did the Baldwin Library last month. In January I'm going to be at the Freeport Library. In March the Elmont Library.
That's
And
awesome.
so I'm having a ball. And then wait, there's more. So Stevie GB is who's a headliner in the comedy community. He's one of my best comedy buddies.
He's great.
And
I
he
love
started
Stevie.
a group several years ago with his friend Joe Gellish called the Retirement Village People.
Right.
With the two of them would do song parodies of songs from the 60s and 70s to reflect getting older, senior living, whatever.
Right.
So eventually he asked me to join the group. And our friend Anita Bloomfield, Anita Starlight is her name. She's a phenomenal singer on Long Island. So the four of us have been performing all over. We're going to be at the Comac Library in January, Huntington Library February. We also have a American Legion Hall out east. I'm saying I'm not even looking at my notes. I can't believe I'm remembering this stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So between the stand up and the Retirement Village People and my singing shows. Now, just take a step back. Up until 2 years ago, I was working in Manhattan for a terrific shipping and logistics company called Mercury, a Boston-based company. I worked in the New York office. So really, that was like the centerpiece of my life is my sales job, and I would be doing comedy and music, but I could only do nights and weekends. So I'd be rushing home from the city to do stuff, and then at the end of 2020, I retired. So now
Now you can work.
I don't feel retired.
Yeah, exactly.
Done.
You retired so you can start working.
Yeah, it's great. So I've been very busy. I got like 43 shows already booked for next year. Of all different types and forms. So that's really my life in 12 minutes.
I think it's pretty awesome when you walk me through your career like that, and I think a lot of people could relate to the starts and stops of things because life gets in the way, like you said, marriage and children and the day job and all those sorts of things. But take me back a little bit. I want to go through all of these moments of time. So when you start in the 70s. In 79 and you're there with Larry Miller and Paul Reiser and Jerry Seinfeld.
Right.
All these people have gone on, like, we know that Jerry Seinfeld became Jerry Seinfeld, and you're amongst all these guys. You're starting with all these people. Donna Irera.
Yeah.
Tell me what was your camaraderie like with them at that time period when you're all kind of starting together? What was that like as opposed to starting again in 2023?
That's a great question. And vividly, I remember that part of the reason why I couldn't really cut it is because my relationship skills, with people wasn't as it is now. Once again, I was kind of immature. I was a late bloomer in life. I even started dating later in life, and I didn't have a girlfriend for a long time. And I just hung out with a few buddies, and for mainly sports. I was like a sportsaholic, and that was like my main in sports and TV. And I didn't. I guess I was not. Confidence was missing.
Right.
And so I didn't have the confidence to form those relationships with people. And I kind of like did my thing, but then I would move on, and which like you missed the boat. Like, once I started doing on Long Island, I realized that, like you develop friendships, and especially in the stand-up comedy community, you should be funny, you should get out there and work, but make friends,
Right.
because
Yeah.
the people that book you are your friends. We all know that the shows we get on is because we've met people that we like and that we connect with, and you can't do it alone. And that's not how I was back in 79 and 80. I would get up and do my set. I would, kibitz, with a couple of the comics, but then more or less it's like, no, I want to get home.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
so I wasn't doing myself any favors there. So that's what I call one of the intangibles. It's not just writing and performing. It's forming the business relationships.
No, I could definitely relate to that a lot as well, because I think back to some of when I was younger and I think about all the woulda, coulda, shouldas, and I just say, you know what? And it's very similar to what you're saying. I didn't have the confidence yet in myself or in my abilities, maybe, and my social skills might not have been on point. So, I say to myself, all right, that wasn't my time yet.
Exactly. Exactly. It wasn't my, actually, I don't really regret it that much, because I didn't do that. I met the, most wonderful woman in the world. We're married 40 years. And had I been doing comedy and been staying out, like, I mean, now, like, I go out as, my wife will say, "Oh, by the way, are you doing anything Saturday night?" Now she's in the other room, but I own the calendar.
There you go.
But back then, there's no way, if I was out every night or working this, it would have been very hard to have a real. I wouldn't have met her, and so plus being, home for all the kids and everything. And actually, once I started getting into the community theater and getting back into comedy, the kids were already older.
Right.
So yeah, it wasn't my time. It was my time for something else.
That's right. Yeah, because now you look at it. So from 80 to 2023, right? 2003, not 2023, 2003. There's about 20 years or so there, right?
Right.
Of you to evolve and grow and get experience and build that confidence. You have the family, the wife, work, life experiences. That all now adds to everything you do. So now when you come back to comedy and you want it, it's more powerful than ever.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And a lot of my comedy draws from, my marriage, my kids. I even talk about sales, I guess my beliefs in Judaism. Just, yeah, it took a long time to know, like, who my character was. And
Right,
my
right.
character happened to be a middle-aged Jewish salesman, father, and husband. Who knew? Who knew? It
Exactly. But
it it
it's a beautiful thing when you find yourself and you find your voice and I think that's the strongest thing for anybody, especially in comedy, is you to be yourself on stage, and that's the
right.
uniqueness of you, and that's where the funny comes from.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out. There's a, I don't know if you know, her name is Gladys Simon. She's a New York City comedian and producer. A lot of comics all say Gladys gave me my start. She used to run
Yes,
an
I did.
open mic at Hamburger Harry's.
Yes, yes.
Big names, all, Jim Gaffigan was in her room. Others all started with her. And so back in, I guess, 2003 or four, when I was already in the city. So I was staying in the city to do open mics. So I started doing her room, and what a couple of things resonated. The first open mic I did was at Hamburger Harry's. She got up there, she did the warm up, and she said, "Listen, I just want to let you know something. Thanks for coming to the open mic. Most of you are never going to be on David Letterman. Let's be real. However, every time you get up and you get behind that microphone, your mindset should be, I'm on David Letterman. And that always rung true. I mean, there were times when, I've gotten gigs where there were one, two, three people in the audience. It could be a paid gig. And instead of going, oh, this sucks and whatever, it's like, no, this is my Letterman and you're my audience.
That's
So
important.
that rang true. And then for me personally, remember, I was really an actor and a singer, where I'd been entrenched in that, and then all of a sudden now I'm doing comedy, and it's comedy's a lot harder than acting in my opinion, because in acting you rehearse, you work it out, you perform. In comedy, the every set is a show, but it's a rehearsal for something else. I have a few jokes that I've been doing lately that are really coming to fruition now. That's taken me like 6, 7, 8 real shows and open mics. So you're constantly working at it. So Gladys is known for helping comics to she's very candid. So we hit it off, and she goes, Les, you're doing great, but one thing is you gotta stop laughing at your own jokes, because at this point I was really doing my impression of a comedian. I wasn't being myself.
Right, right,
It's like I was, trying to be a comedian.
right. What you
So,
thought a comedian, right,
right. And she would pick up on that and saying, and also when you do a punchline and you get a laugh, like remember, a lot of your laughs are coming because you're angry about something or frustrated about something. You'll do the joke, you'll get the laugh, and as soon as you hear the laugh, you're happy and you're celebrating. So you start laughing along. And she said, stop it. When you get the laugh, stay cynical, stay in the moment, and keep that emotion and let them keep laughing.
right.
So it took me a long time to be able to,
It's hard to
across
do
the
that.
years,
Yeah,
because once again, I mean, I'm doing it 20 years, but I'm not getting on stage, like 8, 9 times a week. I have other things going on. And so it takes a while over the years, to do that. So I give her a big thank you for, turning me from an actor into a comic. And even now after 20 years, I must say, and now that I'm retired and I'm getting on stage more and more, um, I'm doing things now that I wasn't able to do 10 years ago. It's feeling different. I'm getting a little more bolder with some of my writing, and it's an unbelievable journey. It really is.
it's awesome too, and I think it's inspiring too that you've persevered and kept going, throughout all the years and doing stand up, and and to me too, I'll be 53 this year. I feel like as I get older, the perception of me from others changes, and I could say things with a little more weight, or it carries different, right? Than if I was 20 years old and said the same
Oh,
thing. People be
sure.
like, so I think that ultimately, where whatever society might say, I think getting older is a good thing, especially in comedy and with all these types of things, because you have such a experience to go off on. And plus, too, there is the factor too where you could play up, I don't get these kids, and just make fun of the current state of the world in from a juxtaposition,
Oh, sure. Oh, I agree. I agree 100%. There's like more experience to draw on, and but speaking of ages, I'm gonna be 70 in March, and
Wow, God bless you. Look amazing.
thank you. It makes absolutely no sense, because there's inside I'm still like that 16-year-old. Like sometimes I'll be doing a show or I'll doing adult things, and all of a sudden that like 16-year-old me will come out of my body, sit down next to me, and go, get a load of you. It just it doesn't make any sense. And what's
Well, you
what's
look
cool
good
is
too,
that,
and you're in great shape too, man. Like I got to start getting in the Les Degen workout plan or something. I mean, you're in fantastic shape.
well, I mean, I work at it. I do 30, 40 minutes on the exercise bike. I do some weights. I do some sit-ups and crunches. I'm really careful what I eat.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I got
And
to start with.
yeah, it's I'm a recovering overeater. I used to be, right now I'm 138 pounds at my heaviest. This is back during my college days and 20s. I mean, all I did was smoke pot and eat Haagen-Dazs ice cream. So I was like almost like 170 pounds,
Right, yeah.
and it took me a long time to lose. I mean, I didn't feel good about myself, and with socially and confidence and everything. So finally, I got to where I wanted to be, but still, I weigh myself every day. I still take the bread out of the inside of the bagel,
Yeah,
and
there you go.
every single every single meal is like a decision,
Right.
because I find that if I wanted, I could. I love food so much, I could just go right back to being 170 pounds. So
It's definitely a fight. I got
yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
yo-yo dieter, because I like to eat too, especially Italian food
Ooh.
and I think I'm addicted to pizza. I don't know.
I love pizza.
Yeah.
Where
But
do you live?
I'm out in Manorville now, so
Okay. I don't know many pizza places out in Maniville. I'm sure there are.
there's a place, yeah, Panoccio's right up the street that I like. Yeah, and then there's another one, Michelangelo's. I think there's probably a million. I would say there's at least 100 Michelangelo pizzerias on Long Island.
Okay. All right.
But there's one out here that's really good. Uh, shout out to Panoccio's and Michelangelo's out here. But but yeah, and you talk about getting older and stuff like that, and performing at some of these nursing homes and for these older people, these elderly people. And I do think that there is something to laughter being therapeutic. I mean, even in the Bible, like Proverbs, it says, like, something about laughter is the best medicine, or a cheerful heart is good medicine. So I do believe that there is something legitimate to laughter being therapeutic. So I think that's awesome what you're doing, and not only when you go out there on your own, but also with the retirement village people. And shout out to Stevie GB um, as well. I love Stevie. So tell me a little bit about kind of you know going into these places and kind of making a difference
Sure.
of their day.
Sure. Actually, it's interesting. When I was with two guys and a gal, we didn't really do a lot of them, because on the business end of it, on the pay scale, they're usually the lower end,
Right.
because the recreation directors have budgets and they have somebody come in once a week. So they can't, it's not like, you do like a temple show, and 3 times a year they come in and they get somebody, so you
There's
get
no
a nice
ticket
a
sales,
nice
or
check.
yeah.
Right, they have a lot of entertainers. So for the three of us, it didn't make any sense. But once we stopped performing as a trio, all of a sudden the one person, like the pay point, wasn't terrible for
Right, right,
me.
right.
So little by little, and also remember, I'm an outside direct salesperson for 41 years. So I even have a CRM with a database of all the assisted living nursing homes,
Wow.
and some of them, I just did a place for the second time yesterday, Sunrise Senior Living of Huntington.
Okay.
This was Yesterday was actually a hybrid show. The My first one was all music, and then for the second one, I said, listen, I don't really, do like a lot of Christmas. I'll do White Christmas, but
Right.
I tell you what, like your audience was pretty good. Do you mind if I like, do some stand up comedy and singing? He goes, yeah, sure. So it was a hybrid show, and I had a lot of fun. It took me, even though I'm in with some of the other Sunrise Senior Livings, for some reason, it took me like 3 years before I could get this gig, because the recreation director changes, and
Oh
one
yeah,
person
yeah.
has their own stable. It's like producers in comedy. You have
Right.
your own, have your favorites and everything. You have to wait till someone leaves, or there's an opportunity. So anyways, I'm in at the Sunrises, Bristol's, Atria's, Arbors, and it's taken many years of networking and calls to do it. And I got to tell you, I love doing them. There's there's a part of it where it's like our greatest generation is fading away. This is the end of my parents' era.
Right, the
So
World War II
to be
era.
to be
Yeah,
entertaining these people. I mean, one, I'm a ham. I love the attention. I like being on stage. I love doing the songs and jokes. Some of them can be difficult, though. I do a lot of memory care units, Alzheimer's, dementia,
right.
where sometimes I'm up there in front of 7 people, and while I'm, I've got you under my skin, but inside I'm like, oh my God, why am I doing this? Like no one's paying attention.
Right,
But
right.
but if well, whether they have Alzheimer's or they're just like elderly, I love making the connection and seeing. I look into everyone's eyes and I try to see that 20-year-old that's in there
Right.
because I know. Listen, I'm talking about I'm 70, but I'm still 16. All these people are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They're doing. I had such good time yesterday. I do. I start out with James Taylor's "Your Smiling Face." All
Great
right, it's a
song.
nice big
Yeah.
uppy number. Then I go back to a 47 show tune from Brigadoon, "Almost Like Being in Love." Then I do "My Girl from the Temptations,"
Nice. Yeah.
and all of a sudden I'm getting
They start.
everybody to be my backup singers and my dancers. So here there is 50, 80, and 90-year-olds while I'm singing in their chairs, going like this.
That's awesome.
And it's the feeling is just amazing that they're not hurting, they're not thinking about their problems, they're just having a good time. And in 1965, when David Ruffin was singing this on stage all over, they were probably in their I don't know 30s or something. Or
Right. Yeah.
so it's wonderful. It makes me feel good. It makes them feel good. And actually, I do show tunes. Now I do Rich Man from Fiddler, The
Right. Right.
Impossible Dream. So I mix it up. So the show is like it's a stand-up comedy show, Broadway show, and cabaret show all wrapped into one.
That's awesome, man. I
And
tell. I worked at Westbury. What the heck? It was a nursing home in Westbury. Well, I can't remember the name of it. I worked there
oh
for
yeah,
3.
been there many times. Amber Court.
Yeah, I worked there.
Ginger Bonner books me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't been there in a long time, so I don't. But I used to work there as a. I did all the floors as like a janitor there, and I worked there for 3 years. And the working with those patients is special because you know that they're at the last phases. You know what I mean? Whether it's they got a couple years left or what have you, and it's a special time. And yeah, so I had some very really great moments and memories of working with those people. And even for me as the janitor at the time, being able to save, I had one woman who would give me an apple if I would get her extra paper towels or something like that. So it's and she thought she was doing like we were doing some kind of sneaky thing, so she'd like slip
Yeah.
me the apple, like,
Yeah,
and
you
I
were
would just
getting the
play
apples
along.
under the table and
Yeah,
like all these
exactly.
black market,
Yeah.
3-ply paper
Yeah,
towels.
and I hand her, and I would play along with her just so she could live that out. But you kind of realize how special these moments are in these times, and for you to entertain them and bring them back, bring that 20-year-old light back on in their head, and kind of give them like those feelings of being young again, or
Oh,
is
absolutely.
amazing.
As a matter of fact, a lot of like the best moments are while I'm packing up my equipment and the people come up to you and they say, "Oh, you were terrific. Thank you so much. You brought me back to another place, another time. All the songs that you were singing. Oh, thank you." And it really means something.
There's power in
Like I'm
that.
thinking, like maybe when I'm like 100 years old and I'm in the assisted living facility and the entertainer is packing up after singing, Led Zeppelin, I'll go, you brought me back to all the stuff. Oh, way down inside, you need. Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you.
I know it's going to happen for you. I'm going to be 100 years old in a nursing home, and my performer is going to be like Rocco Perillo.
How about we kick things off with a little impression I've been working on? Hope you like it. This is my impression of a narcissistic Alzheimer's patient. Narcissistic Alzheimer's patient. Do you know who the fuck I am?
Yeah, right, exactly, right. Yeah. Steve Rocco Perillo. There you go. Who, by the way, is one of the nicest, most wonderful people I know. He's a good friend of mine from the, and he
I
works
like
so
that.
hard.
Yeah, I
And
like
he's so
him a lot.
passionate about it.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He comes into the green room shows with us quite a bit over at Governor's. Like we'll do a live from the Governor's green room
Right.
in the studio there, and he'll jump in all the time. So yeah, shout out to Steve Rocco Pearl. I hope he is the comedian that performs for me when I'm 100. That'll be nice. He'll probably be about 75 or something like that.
That's right. He'll look at me and go, "You look happy. What's that feel like?"
Exactly.
I can do his whole act.
He's got a good act. You know, he's got the cards. Yeah.
Very original, right? I'll trade you 2 of them for Dad.
Great dude, and I love the Long Island scene and all of the cast of characters that we have. You know, Steve Rocco Perillo included, and all the gang that we have. I think it's a really good crop of talented comedians,
Yes.
and I think it's one of the better generation. Like now, the comics that we have, the pool of comics that we have now is one of the better ones that we've seen in you know in some time, right?
Oh, there are so many talented people, and they keep getting churned out because of all the comedy, like the Comedy College of Governors and the Stand Up University at the brokerage.
Yeah,
When comics, finish the class and there's some sense of, I think I can do this, I want to go, then all of a sudden, then they come into the mix, the open mics, they become producers.
yeah.
So it really it grows the whole industry, when people stay and people go, and it makes it fun, actually.
It does.
I love when new people I mean, I've actually had some nice opportunities recently because some new people that came into the mix became producers, and we hit it off, and the opportunity came that I never would have got. Once again, it's. I mean, I'm not trying to make friends just so I can do that. Fortunately, I'm a friendly guy,
Right.
but I couldn't have done this in '79 and '80 because I didn't feel good about myself.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, everything happens the way it's supposed to, I think. And who would have known in the 70s, in like the late 70s, early 80s, the 80s boom, comedies popping, that we would be in this place now. Like even us now talking on Zoom and doing a podcast, and now podcasts have helped create many careers in the last 10 years or so. It like everything keeps changing. The methods of comedy and the outlets of comedy keep changing. I mean, think about it. Before the 70s and the 60s, there was no comedy clubs. It was, these performers were performing in strip clubs, or or opening for musical acts, and
Right,
then
exactly.
so there's always new mediums to draw from. It's incredible.
Yeah, and what's nice about it is that you can start and stop and start and stop and get back up there and do it anytime you want. I cannot tell you how many times over the years that I've almost called it quits because it is a roller coaster. Creatively and opportunity wise, you'll go through some really like good moments, like wow, I'm getting a lot of gigs, I'm getting good at this, and then all of a sudden, for no reason at all of a sudden, like I got nothing on the calendar. My last set was really on the soft side, and
Right.
like it was like a long ride home, and maybe this isn't for me. Like the mind, it plays games on you, and then all of a sudden, when you least expect it, you get a gig, you do great again, and now you're back.
Yep.
And I mean, I got a lot of friends in the community. We all talk, and they go through the same thing. Like I almost, it's hard to keep up with. Hate to use the word competition because it's like really like a
it's friendly competition.
it's
Healthy competition.
it's friendly competition, but the way to look at it is that when someone else has an opportunity and they get booked and they're doing great, you should really root for them and feel good for them, because it means that what you do, there's something out there for you,
Right,
and
right,
you can get there too.
right.
But there's always jealousy and envy, and I'll be honest that there are times, like over the course, where all of a sudden maybe I didn't get that gig or I didn't do too well, and I see somebody else, and also, oh God, with Facebook, oh,
Oh,
all the flyers with all the
yeah.
pictures of people, all of a sudden, the comment from the comment comes, wow, what a great lineup, which means why the hell aren't I on that show?
Yeah, exactly.
So when someone else is, you're not getting anything, and someone else is, it's like you can't. It's thrown in your face constantly. So, but you have to learn how to roll with the punches, and get through that. And I have found so many supportive, wonderful people. Who, after I'd had a bad set of something, came and made me feel better and whatever. And you need support. You need support.
Yeah, right on. I think, like, like in any scene or any workplace or anything, there's always those certain characters. It's all the same. There's always the same cast of characters. Wherever I work, there's always the funny guy, there's always the jerk, there's the flirty girl, there's this one, there's that. There's all the same people everywhere.
Right,
So it's
exactly,
the same
exactly.
thing in the comedy world. But I just think a lot of times, you just gotta align yourself with the right people and the right support group, because I think that the camaraderie is ultimately what gets the scene to the next level. Like when you look at a lot of successful areas, like look at LA or even in the city, and these little cliques of comics, they have a camaraderie, and that's what helps carry them up the food chain. So I think if the Long Island comics, I think we're getting close to kind of getting there, getting that
Yeah,
going
no,
as
I,
well.
I agree with that. I agree. I think there's a lot of great people and a lot of support, and
Yeah,
it's a really positive place. Naturally, there's always people that bash others and cause trouble and whatever, but you know what? That's the same anywhere you
that's
go.
everywhere. But now here we are, Les. It's 2024,
2024. Wow.
and it's just every year it blows my mind that like that and it shouldn't. It should be like, of course it's 2024, but I'm always like, wow, it's 2024. I can't believe it. Um, what are your goals for this year? And what are you trying to achieve?
Well, my goals is to keep doing what I'm doing because I'm enjoying it. Um, Yeah, like I said, I have I'm every day I'm on the phone and trying to book gigs. I have like 43 things planned. I'm trying to get more of a hybrid gigs because that's something that it's something that's really a little different. I don't really know many people that are doing that, where I can go into a temple or a church and say I'm the singer comedian.
Right,
It's either
yay.
it's either one or the other. So to put together like a variety show where I can do, I just did. I got a gig at an 80th birthday party. It was a double 80th birthday party at the Smithtown Landing Country Club, and
Nice.
it was wonderful. And I had like 60 people, and I got to do a little bit of everything. I did stand up, I did music, I did a couple of Broadway show tunes, and for me, that's like getting to do all my favorite things all at once. But yeah, I think yeah, I just is to I will throw this. It was a very rough year. Personally, my wife unfortunately was sick this year.
Oh, sorry to hear
She
that.
was diagnosed with cancer back in February,
Oh,
and fast forward, surgery was successful in September. It's been a rough recovery. She's now starting to feel better.
God
So
bless.
at the same time, there was this kind of like banner year for showbiz. It was kind of bittersweet because of the other situation.
Right.
So, which actually, it actually the showbiz helped me because it was like my therapy.
Right, right.
You know, to be a caregiver at the same, you know, all the trips to the hospital and just watching someone you love suffer and whatever.
Yeah.
So now that she's starting to feel better, another goal is for us to really, and she retired the same time I did at the end of 2020. So now, in addition to all the shows, we want to like maybe, you know, like travel a little, get out and do more. So
Yeah.
yeah, so the goal is to just you know, keep living life. You know, I don't aspire to be world famous or anything. I just you know, I love life. I love what I'm doing and the people that are around me, and to just be grateful for everything I have, and just to keep on doing it. You
Excellent.
know, and if I get booked to be Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof in a revival on Broadway, that would be good too.
There you go. Let's make that happen. No, that's
Yeah.
awesome, and God bless, and I'm happy to hear that your wife's recovering.
Thank you.
That's a beautiful thing. Also, I might be working with you guys. I was talking to John LaRocchia not too long ago. We might be doing something with the Laughter Saves Lives and be on that
Oh,
show on the 29th of February.
I'm glad you brought that up. My apologies, John, if you're watching. We just the another big part of my life is not only does John book me on, you know, some of his shows as a comic, but the last couple of years I've been working with him as his vice president of sponsorship at Laughter
Nice.
Saves Lives. I do look for charities to do shows for, but I also help him look for sponsors. So,
Very cool.
so as part of, like, remember, I'm still a salesman at
Yeah,
heart.
yeah, there you
So
go.
I call on local businesses to help sponsor shows, and so that's I make several calls, you know, every day and every week. So that's another piece of my puzzle. And he's a great guy, and he does so much for so many people. So yeah, I'm glad that's that show in Merrick on the 29th.
Yeah,
With the how does that mean he's going to have to put your face on that pizza pie also?
no,
We're going to have to
I
get
think
another pie.
I'm more behind the scenes. So I'm a video producer and video editor behind the scenes, right? So that's what I do for a living. So I think I'm talking with John, nothing set in stone yet, but of kind of helping create a docu-series based off this. So I'll be interviewing all of you guys. Uh,
Oh, that would be fantastic.
yeah, and that would be something great for social media to help
Oh, no
generate more
kidding, sure.
sponsorships and all that good stuff. So yeah, we could
Oh, that would be great, and it'll be
yeah.
here before you know it.
Yeah, so I'm hoping I'm looking forward to being part of the team on that one, and working with you and working with John. It's going to be awesome. So
I'm so addicted to Facebook. When I want to have sex with my wife, I send her an invite. How sad is that? And she always responds exactly the same way my friends respond when I invite them to one of my comedy shows. She always gives me a maybe, and then she never comes. That's actually a clean joke, ladies and gentlemen.
and unless you're an amazing guy, and thank you so much for taking
Oh,
the
thank
time.
you.
Yeah, appreciate you talking with me. Just tell everybody where they could find you and follow you and all that fun stuff.
Sure. I got a lot going on. If you can see my schedule at www.lesdegen.com. I got a lot of private shows, but I have some comedy shows coming up. It's on the schedule. Got a couple of library singing shows, retirement village people. Go to my website, read down, and I hope to see you in the audience so we can have a good time and create some special moments together.
Yes, indeed, Les Degen. Thank you so much, my friend. Everybody, check him out. The
Don
great,
Sill, hugs.
yes,
Hugs.
virtual hugs.
All right, now you can go. You can go reheat your 2 slices of pizza now.
That's exactly where I'm headed. Les,
Sincerely, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
thank you, sir.
I'll
Appreciate
see you
it.
soon.